champion Gary has fired back at Colby Covington. The public feud between Ian Meshad, Gary and Colby Covington has really kicked into gear this week after the Irishman responded to Covington's brash call-out. Chaos took the social media a few days ago to tell Gary he would be willing to fight him dependent on a number of conditions, most notably that Gary's wife, Leela, would get on her hands and knees and beg him to accept the fight. Gary's initial response was brief. He posted a short video rep containing just one sentence:
I'll respond in my own time, don't rush me.
Gary followed it up a little later with a more detailed reply on Instagram saying, Listen here,
Colby Chaos Covington. You are in no position to tell me what I should be doing in life. You'll do as you're told. You gave me 3 stipulations, all of which had nothing to do about fighting. We were all talking about my wife. I don't know how you were raised, but women aren't property and my wife definitely ain't no trophy. You should be focusing on me. I'm the one who's in that octagon with you. I'm the one who's gonna punch a hole in your head. So stop swerving me and keep Layla's name out your mouth. You're not America's favorite fighter. You're the only person in UFC history to lose 3 world title fights, and you haven't got a single win against anybody in the top 15 right now. So Colby, why should I fight you?
But it seems that Gary certainly wants this fight, insisting,
I'm going to be the final chapter in your legacy of failure. I am going to rid the UFC of Colby Covington for good, and I'm going to make MMA great again.
Coming off a title fight lost to Leon Edwards in December, and Gary rapidly climbing the ranks, it seems they're on a collision course to meet in the octagon later this year. Sha Ali versus Morab Dvalishvili has been confirmed. Sha Ali made the first successful defense of his 135 pounds title at UFC 299 with a dominant decision victory over Marlon Stovera. Ali first claimed the belt with an impressive knockout win over Aljamain Sterling last August, and it would seem a close friend of Sterling's believes he's next in line. Morab Dvalishvili is on a 10-fight winning streak in the division, and now that his former training partner Sterling is no longer sitting on the throne, he's made it clear that he wants a shot at the title next. The machine is coming hot off the heels of an impressive win over Henry Cejudo in February, and during a recent appearance on TMZ, he revealed that UFC president Dana White may have let it slip to him that he will in fact get what he wants. I don't talk it's like this about this with UFC yet, but I did see Dana for a little bit. I just say hi, and I believe he told me you were next. That's why he told me after Ali dispatched the Vera in Miami. Many, including Morab, assumed that the Georgian would be the single most likely next option available to the champ. Sugar surprised a lot of fans when he called for a super fight against new featherweight champion Alex Polizzi next, and neglected to mention Dvalishvili. It all seemed to pour cold water on the idea of Ali moving divisions in the UFC 299 post-fight press conference. I don't know about moving divisions yet. Yeah. You know how I feel about that. I mean, even Topper was talking about not fighting anybody in the division after just winning the title. Yeah, that's crazy talk. Also this week, Nate Diaz is furious with the UFC's tactics. The ongoing saga of Conor McGregor's return to competitive action has been back in the headlines this week after the Notorious addressed the situation publicly while doing promotional work for his new movie, Roadhouse. McGregor told the McLife earlier this week, I had a camp in the south of France. I had a camp in Dubai at World Champions training with me where I was hoping for a December date, then a January date, and then it keeps getting pushed back. Then I lose interest and stop training for a while. The crux of the matter seems to be McGregor's contract situation. It's rumored he only has 2 fights remaining on his current deal, and the UFC may be reluctant to head into negotiations for a new TV deal later this year without some McGregor fights to use as a bargaining chip, all of which leaves the Irishman in limbo. It would seem he's found an ally in former 2-time UFC opponent Nate Diaz, who tweeted his sympathy for McGregor, saying, This was me for years before Conor even got here. They want you to die before you get out of these contracts. It's up to you to make something pop. No one going to help you. Would you free Conor? It's at Patty's Day. In this, the pair fought twice back in 2016, sharing 1 victory apiece. A rubber match between the two has been rumored ever since, but it seems increasingly unlikely now that Diaz is no longer fighting in the UFC. He left after a victory over Tony Ferguson in 2022 and is scheduled to fight another former adversary, Georgian Mazel, in a boxing bout later this year. In other news, Aljamain Sterling breaks silence on UFC 300 former Bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling is making the move up to 145 kilos when he takes on Calvin Carr at UFC 300 after losing his title to Sha Ali last August. Aljamain has finally decided to take the plunge and change weight classes. The New Yorker was long rumored to be contemplating the move and decided that now is the right time. Speaking on his YouTube channel, he says that he doesn't need to change his body to fit the new weight class, as he was always a natural featherweight competing in the wrong division, and I'm not bulking at all, just been trying to get faster, trying to get stronger, more explosive. I'm not necessarily trying to put on size, because I already got the size in comparison to all these other weight ready, so now let's just focus on staying strong, keeping the calories up. I didn't realize I was relatively the same size as all these other guys. The 34-year-old claimed the Banto title in controversial fashion when his opponent, Peter Yan, was disqualified for throwing a knee to the head of the grounded Sterling back in 2021. He won the rematch with Yan the following year, and he went on to defend the title against TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo before being knocked out by Ali last year. His opponent at UFC 300, Calvin Carr, sits 8th in the featherweight rankings and is currently on a 2-fight skid, having lost to Josh EMT and Arnold Allen. If Sterling can pass this test, he should make an interesting addition to the 145 pounds title discussion. UFC fighter responds to cheating allegations. There was a disappointing climax to the co-main event of UFC Fight Night 239 in Las Vegas on Saturday, as the bout between Angie Luca and Bryan Battle ended in a no contest due to an eye poke. Luca was unable to continue, and referee Mike Beltran called a halt to proceedings just a minute into the second round. Tensions flared immediately afterwards in the cage, and the pair had to be separated by security. Battle seemed extremely agitated in his post-fight interview with Michael Bisping, insisting that Luca was looking for a way out. Luca spoke to MMA Junkie the next day, saying, "That's hard to take. I'm very disappointed. My eye is still hurting. This is not the way I wanted this fight to end up. That's it. I don't have much to say. I'm very disappointed. The UFC wants to send me to an ophthalmologist. I have to see another one back in Florida. We'll check and see what's going on. But I feel like there's something inside my eye. It's itchy and hurting a little bit. We'll check the eye and see how it goes from there." He's fought well in the first round. He definitely won the first round, but I'm not afraid of him. I started slow in the second round. I was ready to go. I would never ever stop the fight. If I'm able to continue, I wasn't able to see it. Remains to be seen whether the matchup will be rebooked by the UFC. Conor McGregor in negotiations with the UFC, this despite the frustration over the ongoing delays in getting a confirmed date for his fight with Michael Chandler. Conor McGregor did in fact confirm that the lines of communication are open between he and the UFC, and that he hopes to fight sometime this year. McGregor also confirmed that there are just 2 bouts remaining on his UFC contract, telling Swedish outlet Movie, "I'm eager for that. You know, we're in the first quarter of 2024. There's still a good chunk of the year left. I've got 2 fights left on my contract. Negotiations are ongoing, so when the promotional work of the movie comes to an end, when the Patrick's Day festivities come to an end, isolation and his focus and move towards a return to the octagon." The Dubliner has only been seen in UFC action 4 times since claiming the lightweight title with the knockout of Eddie Alvarez back in 2016, a foray into the boxing world to fight Floyd Mayweather, and a catastrophic injury sustained in his last fight against Dustin Poirier in 2021 have both played a part. But it would seem that McGregor is eager to return to his roots and remind that MA fans just how good he is at 35 years old and coming up on 3 years out of competitive action. The clock seems to be ticking on McGregor's career. The MMA community goes off on Dana White after a recent interview with Conor McGregor where he states his frustration with not getting a fight date. Here's what Conor had to say: "Obviously I've got for the trilogy. That's what I had said for the Sphere. You know, there was cold water put on that publicly off the bat, and I wasn't happy with that. So I do know I'm not that I need discussion or conversation, because you know, if I lose interest, I'm not getting anything back. You know, I just drew off my man, so I hope I can get something in it and get dialed in." Here's what the MMA community had to say to Dana White: "It's obvious they're trying to freeze him out because he doesn't want to renew an exclusive contract with them. You would think someone who has made them as much money as he has wouldn't be disrespected like this, but this is the UFC's history. So no one should be surprised. Even the guy who put UFC on the global map gets by the gross contract manipulations. He has 2 fights on his deal. He wants to fight twice, then get into boxing. Let him. He's done enough for the UFC." You Dana White McGregor made the UFC quadrillions, and this is the thanks he gets. Or maybe you're too busy slapping your wife around. Conor has 2 fights on his deal. Dana and Hunter can't waste them if Conor doesn't plan on resigning. It's got to be fights with Diaz, or hopefully for USC's sake, Khabib, it needs to be needle mover opponents. You can't have Conor fight Chandler and Poirier, then walk out the door. UFC and Dana White is fumbling. "Conor, man, don't make sense how he hasn't fought in 3 years. Dana really wasting the final good years of the sport's biggest star just so he can keep him locked to a contract." Shaking my head. The more and more Conor opens up about wanting to return to fighting, the more and more I blame Dana White, cause the man literally said Conor makes too much money to book him a fight during one of his conferences with media. Alex Polizzi got knocked out in sparring. He shared a clip of himself and rapper Lil TJ, where it looks like TJ might have got the best of P. However, many fans are theorizing that it's staged. What do you think? Top comments. Sean vs. Driss needs to be run back. I hope the UFC goes for it. Just say no to B. Someone responded with, look, I get that the bout position makes no sense, but the fight itself is interesting. Bo is fun to watch. And Brundage is coming off a Slamco. No, he shouldn't be on the main card, but it's still going to be a banger fight. Dana White, what about that super fight? You promised us. I think a Morab fight is harder for Ali than Tapura. Make sure to leave a comment, and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you, music, tomorrow.